special one tonight. Obviously, this is not Josh. It's a Wednesday night, but we got a great replacement. So let's hit the old intro.
This is not a show and might not even be a connection. Here's Judah and guest.
Judah and guest, and this is my guest today is pretty special. John and I go one Samuel, as it were.
John is fine.
Man, we go way back.
Please, Ron Samuel is my father's name.
I forgot how funny you were, John. I'm just talking to you like so John and I go way back. You were in high school and I was in middle school, I think. I was in the same grade as forgot your brother's name already. I want to say Tom. Luke. Tom. Yeah, Thomas. Yeah. It's been that long. And we reconnected over the years here and there. I think we went to a concert together one time, and Thomas was there. I went to see what was their name? It's like the guys who sang Superman. Our
Lady Peace. Yeah.
Our Lady Peace. Yeah, I went to see an Our Lady Peace concert.
Listen to them. They're great.
I do too every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're good. But man, so how are you been? How have you been?
Pretty good. You know, I'm actually up in Worcester, Massachusetts right now. I'm working in a field hospital for COVID patients.
Really?
As a social worker. Yeah.
Tell me more about that. What do you mean? So you're providing casework for who? For the patients? For the
right. Yeah, for the patients, you know, just kind of basically discharge planning, you know, for the people that are in the field hospital, which is set up in the convention center in downtown Worcester, which that's downtown Worcester is kind of an oxymoron, but yes.
Why is that? Why? What is it? I know nothing about the area there.
Oh yeah, I mean I have never been here. I mean, I have cousins in Gloucester, so I know the North Shore a little bit, but yeah, I've had no knowledge of this town. It kind of reminds me of a bigger Little Falls a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So a bigger Little Falls.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it has the quaintness of the Northeast.
Yeah.
Rugged, but desolate.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, and big enough to have a minor league hockey team. So.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, what? So last time, this is I froze. Huh. Am I froze for you?
No.
Well, last time I checked in, so you were still in the Atlanta area, right?
Right. Yeah.
And so you were working you were a social worker, but a supervisor.
Right. Yeah.
And so how do you go from that? Like, did you take time off to do this? Were you commissioned, you know, like what?
Well, after that, I'd actually changed jobs. I was a hospice social worker for about the last 15, 16 months. And I just noticed something, opportunities out there for travel contracts. So, you know, I've been, you know, trying to get a travel contract, just see another part of the US and do some social work there. And this was the first one that ever actually came through. So, anyway,
interesting.
I mean, and the COVID.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Oh yeah. The COVID patients are it's to the point where they're out of the woods. So it's not like anybody on ventilators or anything like that. It's, you know, people that have comorbidities that still need extra, like remdesivir. A lot of them are on, you know, the hand of God drug that I think Donald Trump called it. Something like that is what he called it. So
these therapeutics.
Right.
But the comorbidities, are there those? So you're lending towards organizing their maybe they have other issues that you're helping sort of maintain, making sure there's not cross what do they call that where you get the medication messed up because of the cross pollination or whatever.
Right.
Okay.
In drug interactions or negative.
Yeah. Okay. Fascinating.
Yeah, lining up, rehabs or nursing homes or whatever.
Yeah.
Oxygen at home if they still need that, and stuff like that. So,
well, dude, that's awesome. Thanks for your help. A lot of people say. People say a lot of times to people. My brother, Paul, he hates it now. He's in the military, and he hates it when people are like, "Thank you for your service."
I've never told that to one single veteran in my whole life. It just seems so disingenuous. It really does.
But I think there's something more genuous about or ingenuous about saying it to people that are on the front lines of this, war against COVID or whatever have you.
Yeah. I definitely feel that. I mean, I don't think I really necessarily count. I feel like it's more doctors and nurses, like my brother-in-law Aubrey, who's a hospitalist up in a hot spot, Dalton, Georgia, for COVID for sure. But
God bless him. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, we have a couple comments already. Jay was telling us that we were froze. I don't know.
Oh,
it's kind of cold in here, maybe. And then your sister, Rachel Lago, says, "So proud of you, brother." she's so proud of you. So I think this is great, man. So I'm proud to be able to talk to you and reconnect with you now. You mentioned that you wanted to talk a little history. You wanted to talk a little bit about Grant. I thought, okay, I did see a post, right, a couple of months ago during the whole during the what have yous, BLM what have you. Right. You did post about you're pretty angry about the pulling down of the Grant statue.
Oh,
and I wondered,
I did.
Is that connected to why you requested to talk about Grant today?
It's sort of. I mean, yes, it is. Now, one of the reasons is, I read this, 1,200-page book by Ron Chernow, the Grant, over the summer into the fall. It was kind of like a college course because it took 45 hours to do,
Yeah.
So, that's funny because college courses. Yeah.
At the dinner table, I asked my dad. My dad's, he's like a history. He lover of history and reader. And I said, what can you tell me about Grant? I'm a Neanderthal. And he said he had just read that book actually last summer. And he was telling me, he said Grant was an amazing horse rider is what he got not most out of that book, but something that really interested him, learning that Grant was such a good.
He was. And one favorite thing about Grant and horses was he kidnapped a horse from Jefferson Davis's brother's farm, and it was called Little Jeff Davis. And so that's one of the main horses he would ride in the latter part of the Civil War. Yes.
Wow, that's pretty profound. Just sort of a F you to the opposition, right?
Right. Yeah.
Wow, fascinating. What was it called? Little Jefferson?
Little Jeff Davis. His name
Little Jeff Davis. And was it a big horse?
It's just a regular size horse. Yeah. Oh.
I don't know. People talk about. So recently, I was talking to my family about horses, and because my brother just recently got some horses, and there's just such an array of different horses. I always just considered horses like one thing, and then was introduced to this giant horse that was 12 feet tall, and it wasn't even one of those what are they called? Clydesdale. It wasn't a Clydesdale. It's just a quarter horse or something. It's huge. Oh,
Yeah.
also your brother, your sister says, oh yeah, she was reminiscing about little Jeff Davis. She loves it.
Yes.
So what in particular piqued your interest about it? You just got done with the quote unquote
no,
course and wanted to talk about it, or?
I mean, no, I mean, it's just one of the things. It's the lessons I got from the book was, well, I'll start out by, the scene in Breaking Bad where Mike Airman Trout is talking to Walter White, giving him some advice on something that he did, and he talks about the when he was a beat cop, he got this guy that's beating up his girlfriend a lot, and he takes him to jail, and he pulls him out. He's so mad, he pulls him out of the car. He gets him on the side of the road, gun in his mouth, and the guy's screaming and crying, and he's like, please, I'll never do it again. But then the guy, goes home, and a couple weeks later kills his girlfriend. And so what Mike was trying to say was, what I did was a half measure, right? That's a thing I've heard a lot since that show, but I never heard half measure as a way to describe sort of halfway taking care of stuff before that. I don't know. What's your experience there with that?
Right. I mean, mostly you hear about people half-assing something, rather than
exactly
half measure. Yeah.
So Grant had probably one of the best vision for racial equality post Civil War, and he was very kind to all of the freed slaves that he would come along in his battles, and he kind of incorporated them into either farming or something like that, and paying them. And so when he became, post-war, even as before he became president, he was part of trying to militarily hold the South, because there are still people out there killing black people all over the place, and just terrorizing them, and these black codes and things like that. And he wanted to try to end that. So he'd have his generals go down, and maybe he went down to Louisiana multiple times, and South Carolina and North Carolina, to try to root out the Ku Klux Klan, do a lot of things. And finally, I feel like the only way you could have changed the South and the Reconstruction years into Jim Crow and all that was if you had stomped the Confederates out. Like you should have done way more. Like you shouldn't have been so conciliatory to Lee when he surrendered, or something like that. Like you should have been a cold killing machine if you really wanted to change the way that it was. Because I mean, it was just slavery by another name for the next 100 years or so. And so I think about that as far as war goes in general, or changing people's minds. People like Castro, when he goes to Cuba, and he has his Che Guevara with him as his lieutenant. And then one of his famous quotes, Che Guevara's, is, "The revolution must be a cold killing machine." And at one time when I heard that, I'm like, why do so many people have him, their T-shirt? Do they know that this is what he's about, right?
Yeah.
But the more I think about it, if you're trying to change the ideology of a region or a country, it doesn't matter if you think it's evil or something like that. You need to change things. You need to know that you're going to have to kill people on a large scale, and I've been thinking about that. And I feel like, we probably could have won the Vietnam War, and whether or not we should have been in it, if we had looked at it like we're trying to, and they killed a lot of people, but if we knew that we were just going to obliterate the country, we could have won the Vietnam War. We could have probably been more successful in Iraq with, again, if you agree with it or not. You needed to be a cold killing machine. A military needs to be a cold killing machine. And if it doesn't, then there's really no point. You have, the drones.
Hey, well, yeah. I missed it. I got kicked out. You said you needed to be a cold, hard, obviously killer, right? Sorry, I got kicked out.
Yeah, yeah. So
and then what was the thing about the drones?
Well, yeah, and so the drones, we kill people in Yemen and Pakistan and Afghanistan a lot, and you're creating collateral damage, but it's just like enough people to get mad about it, to create their own, to make more enemies, you got your target, but then you got some family members. I guess it's just the way it is in this country, right? That I don't know, like everybody is just sort of half doing things, and we're just not, and it's just creating these. We're all enemies, and I don't know. It's just it's a hard place, and it's a hard, it's a hard struggle to be ideologically sane, in this day and age. If you don't have a set of principles, I guess. And I knew that.
Well, so the thing that comes to my mind, the first thing that immediately came to my mind was quote, the Jrr Tolkien quote. He has Gandalf quoting, when Bilbo says, "Why don't we just kill Gollum?" Because I think it's Bilbo or Frodo thought that they were taking too many half measures. He says, "Do not be too eager." Let me see if I can. Do not be too eager to deal out death and judgment. Even the wise cannot see all ends. My heart tells me that Gollum has some part to play yet, but for good or ill. But so that's one of my favorite quotes of Lord of the Rings is, what a full measure to me is playing God, right? It's like you have to be absolutely sure. And that's jihadists. They're absolutely sure. They do not take half measures, right?
Right.
And so the thing that separates us from the orcs is the idea that we don't know whether or not, what role these have to do. So maybe the answer to that is we don't partake at all then. Why take any measure then?
Right. And
so is that an argument for passive? Are you making the argument for pacifism then?
I don't know what I'm making the argument for. It's just, as Tom Joad says, just something I've been thinking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's also a quote in you ever seen the Charlton Heston Treasure Island?
Mm-mm.
Oh, that's the best Treasure Island. You got to see that one. But the captain, I forget what his name is, Captain Hawk or something like that. He always says, Well, you've either said too much or too little. And I think you either said too much or too little, but also I think that's what you're saying, is that we either have done too much or too little in the case of race relations.
Right. And in
interesting.
Yeah.
And I want to come back to that real quick though. Jay says, "Thanks for watching, Jay. He's a faithful watcher of the Nada show. He's a Nada watcher. Did God not command Israel to go in and totally kill everyone and sometimes even the animals?" I think that's a good point.
Right.
Going back to Old Testament theology, however, it's God theology that he said, "Go in and kill man, woman, child, and even their pet dog. Right. Annihilate them." Now, yeah. And your sister Rachel says, very interesting point, Jay. And Thomas is watching. What's up, Thomas? He says, "Howdy, fellas." Can't believe I forgot Thomas's name earlier.
Yeah.
Though, my dad thinks that he forgets things because he's aging, but it's sometimes scary because the same thing happens to me. I'll just blank out. But it happens at the worst times. I'll be doing something like this, in front of 4 people or whatever. And but I have a fantasy football podcast that I do with some friends, and I will just like blank out on people. Like Saquon Barkley, I have to remember his name. The way I do it is like sequence. I picture him with somebody with like a sequins all over. I just have to do these weird things to remember.
Saquon Barkley and his brother Sequin. Yes, that's nice. Wow.
Let's see. Oh, Jim Pass. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Says 5. What? The question.
I don't know. One can't.
But
it's just.
Well, so it's difficult. It's difficult for me to really engage in the discussion of race relations. I feel like there's a camp that I feel like I'm disagreed with by both. There are two sides that are vehemently jihadist in their approach.
Oh, yes. Right.
And
yes.
I don't really fit into either one of them. And I love people on both sides. And so it does create a difficult.
Yeah.
And especially as often I'll find myself in these discussions, talking with another white dude
right
about these things. And I'm just like, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, right. I know. I don't really like to get into it a whole lot either. And talking about it wasn't really necessarily talking about race relations anyway.
No, you're right. But to get back to Grant, your position is that he should have gone farther, or there is a position that he should have gone farther. And it's interesting just to kind of think, what if?
Yeah, right. I mean, I think he should have gone farther. I think that Sherman should have been far more brutal in his march to the sea and destroyed far more things, and really just laid waste to it. And that's not something I've always thought. That's come around in the past couple of years. Because I was like, I mean, why? Why did Sherman have to burn stuff on his way to the sea? That's not good. He could have just won the war, but no, they needed to impose their will on the South. But yeah. I mean, as far as sort of race relations, there's a lot of things on both sides where it's like you can take one of their arguments and you say, well, that's true, but it's not that simple, and you can do it to either side, and yeah. So I don't really, and when you do that, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I guess the thing that worries me is that people are less like Grant and less like less like Gandalf, in that quote, and more like the jihadist all the way, burn it to the ground. And I think that, to me, that's what causes the violence. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day about the difficulty of putting, like, a lot of this stuff comes from just a human desire to be tribal, and the desire to be tribal comes from a desire to distinguish ourselves, right? To have distinguished identities, values that make us different than, I don't know, ultimately make us different from we just want to be unique.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's true. If you want to see people enjoying their own kind of people, like, go sit in a bar in a small town, on a Thursday or Friday night, and you'll see people walking in and recognize each other and then just start walking so quickly to their group. I mean, people love to be in their own tribe. It is. I mean, it's wonderful. I love meeting people, from other cultures, and I mean, it's amazing. But then sometimes you're like, let's watch some soccer, drink some whiskey with other redheaded guys like me, and it's going to be fun as hell, And,
well, I can't agree with the soccer aspect of it, but I do like the whiskey aspect.
Right.
But that's what one of his points was, is that we have to find these commonalities. We have to find multiple points. I do a podcast. I used to do a podcast with a guy named Ford. I don't know if you ever come, but he really deep guy and really intent. He was a missionary to India, and really intent on the necessity of cross-cultural connection,
right,
without the emphasis on, he was fully against this idea of, like, what do you call it? I can't remember. What's the name where you take on another culture's, where white people will take on other cultures' things and make it their own, or
appropriation.
There we go. Appropriation. Yeah.
That's appreciation to me. But anyway, that's yes.
And I think there's a line, right?
Yeah, things like sacred, habits or rituals and stuff like that. Yeah, of course. That's kind of blasphemy or something like that, but yeah.
Well, his point was that we are more than one thing, and too often in this society, we or those around us, like, we impose this vision of ourselves that is just monolithic, or others will impose it on our tribe, or when on who we are, whatever that identification is, it becomes just real bland in one color. What is it? Homogeneous. And if we come together as complex people, like, I may hate soccer, but I like whiskey, so I may go join you.
And then you'll be converted. I swear to God, of course you will. But anyway.
Well, that's another question. Someone said today, was it? No, it was the same guy. We had a podcast yesterday, and we had, like, a better podcast after we went off the air. I want to make sure we don't do that. But he said, can you imagine trying to convert somebody out of their favorite team.
Oh,
so
right.
Can you imagine? And when he said that, I laughed just like you, because I cannot. I'm sort of a bandwagon Packers fan.
Okay.
And still, if somebody tried to convert me away from them, I would still hold strong.
Right.
Because I've adopted that identity into me, And I think that's an odd thing.
Yeah.
That we hold so tightly to something this what does the sports team have to do with my life?
I know. Yeah, yep, you're absolutely right.
Now, you lived in Georgia for a while, so I want to hear what you have to say about that.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just, watching the Falcons, it's something that, I've done since I was like, 10 years old. And it's just something that I'm always going to do. But it's weird as an adult. You don't carry the same passions in some ways. Like I'm in Massachusetts right now, but so I can't really watch them, but I wasn't going to watch them the past 3-5 weeks. They're terrible, and it's because of the decisions they made as far as the coach and stuff like that. And whereas as a younger person, I'd be like, man, I can't believe you would do that. Why would you leave your team? No, I'm still a huge Falcons fan, but I'm not. Just because you put this shit product out there does not mean I have to consume it. It's like,
yeah. Well, say more about that. Like, what changed in your maturation or just over time that shifted there?
I think just in general, there's so many things that I would just be so principled about as a younger person. And honestly, like, I can't think of very many things that I would just die on a hill about, but yes, definitely I always hated fair weather fans, oh my God. Look at all these Lakers fans, Cowboys fans in upstate New York, like, what is that all about? And with their starter jackets. Oh, I was jealous of their starter jackets. Never got one. But man, I was so jealous of those things. Goodness.
Those big puffy starter jackets.
Oh yeah, with like the big pocket in the front, like everybody kind of looked like they were pregnant, like really,
or had like a fanny pack there, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Ugly.
Yes.
Well,
yeah.
So, but this is, it's interesting because I feel like the generation before us, our fathers sort of got what is the word? Became a little bit more calcitrant in their beliefs. They're calcified in their beliefs and became a little bit more dogmatic as they got. Well, I don't know about that. In certain things, I would say.
Yeah.
And I think, isn't that the trope that as you get older, you get recalcitrant, you get dogmatic?
That's true.
Why is it that? And I would agree with you. I've gotten a lot less rigid and what is that called? I guess it's dogmatic. Just holding on to things like that. How come why is it that our generation is a little bit, and I'm just going to make that statement. I don't know if that's true, but why is it that you and I are softening up a little bit rather than hardening?
I don't know, because but it is something, you see a lot. Like there's a line, I don't know. Do you listen to Jason Isbell at all? Anyway, he's really good singer-songwriter, really more of a southern rock kind of act. But Anyway, he has a song on this, not his last album, but the album before. There's a line in it. I used to want to be a real man. I don't even know what that means. Right? Like that's used to be like these commercials, these man law, man rules and all that stuff, which is not as in anymore as as people talk about toxic masculinity and stuff like that. And I'm most certainly not a subscriber to that particular theory, but at the same time, I've disagreed with so many of the man laws that come along where I'm like, well, there's just no set way to be this, there's no set way to be a man, and I think that's part of it probably, but people are sort of, questioning all the different things and the roles and stuff that we have in society. But
I mean, we've certainly been introduced from a young age to the idea of relative truth, right? Or at least truisms that are relative. And we're much less phobic of them than the previous,
right?
I would say than the previous generation. Maybe if Jim Pass is an old friend of my dad's. If he wants to chime in on this, he said his internet connection is breaking up. Oh,
damn it!
Sorry, that's why he said 5. He was making a statement. So if you can, finish the statement, man. But I'm not phobic of it, but I am leery of the postmodern, quote unquote postmodern or postmodern, idea of no truth,
Right. Yeah.
But I am amenable to the idea of malleable truth and relative, things that skew our values, that skew our truth.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and I'm not even going to go down the road of of the ideologies and stuff that are in place today. But yes, there's some things that are just true, and they need to stay true because they're just true. And then other stuff, yeah. I mean, we need to take a certain look. We need to be accountable for some of the things and the decisions that have been made along the way, as far as being the powerful group and stuff like that, and being honest about it. But yeah, no, I'm a fan of some truths, kind of being set in stone. Yes.
Well, it's interesting because just in talking to my dad a little bit about Grant and remembering some things about him from history class and what have you, I do get the impression that he was the phrase that came to my mind was hardworking heathen. Kind of you brought up Breaking Bad, kind of like Walter White in the sense of just, well, maybe not like Walter White, but like Mike, the machine, the guy who just does what he's told, has no real, political fantasy, or fancy, but just practical, not really religious in any way, either way, to the left or right or conservative, liberal, whatever. He just hard-working, and is about getting the job done and getting it done right.
Right.
And
yeah.
And just from social media mostly, and kind of knowing you when we were younger, you're kind of like that, aren't you?
Doing what now? Say that again.
As like the type of guy that's like much less ideal driven and much more practically driven.
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah. Mm-hmm.
What? Sorry, I had to switch earbuds real quick. One was dying, but so you would agree with that?
Yeah.
Why? What do you mean?
Well, you know, I don't like a whole lot of preamble to stuff that's going to happen. Like, all right, well, here's what needs to be done. All right, well, let's go do it. You know, certainly, most people hate this, but recipes on the internet are one of the worst culprits. Where they like to tell a whole story before they give you the recipe. Yeah, you know.
As if we care, right?
Like, right. No. How much cream do I put in here? God damn it.
Wow, yeah. You are you've always been a real practical guy, seems like, from what I remember. And even though Facebook is not great for like gleaning personality, I'd say sometimes.
I mean, but adequate. When people post enough, like if they they do enough, I feel like you get a good idea, like of what's going on. I'm a decent idea of what people are, I guess, which is, you know, except for when things get into politics and stuff like and I try to stay out of it. I know I don't. I know I fail a lot, but my God, I try really hard just to not even be the politics person anymore. Because
used to be.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe. I guess I just have a lot more thoughts that I just quash, I guess. Maybe that's the way that works.
You're not as verbose when it comes to your immediate reaction or feeling.
Right. Yeah.
You're gonna have to explain this to me. Let's see. Oh, okay. I see now. So Rachel says Jason Isabel has pretty good set of man lies.
That's true.
Don't call what you're wearing an outfit. Call home on your sister's birthday. Don't say that you're bigger than Jesus. Interesting. That's lines from one of his songs.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I think those are good guidelines.
Oh yeah, no, that's true. That's true.
Man, I always forget my sister's birthday, and it's like one of them is the easiest one to remember. It's Valentine's Day.
Oh wow,
Maria's birthday.
Terrible job, sir. Now it's
Jim Pass. What?
No, I can remember all my siblings' birthdays and my parents' birthday, although I can't always remember my dad, whether it's August 29th or August 30th. I swear to God, like every year, I don't remember. But then when I get to my nieces and nephews, I don't. Like my first niece, Lily, I know her birthday only because she was born on the same day as Rachel. So there. Other than that, honestly, I could not tell you a single one of their birthdays. I don't. Yeah,
dude, I'm doing good when I remember their names. I need to do better at that. Yeah. Although I have to say, we'll come back to that. Jim Pass says, as you grow older, you catch glimpses of the truth and hold on to them as irrevocable.
Right.
Some other stuff is not important. I think that's interesting. You start honing in on certain ones rather than just all of this is true and you're going to go to hell if you don't believe it. That type of
right. Yeah, exactly. Right.
Lily says hi, by the way.
Oh. Right.
Hi, Lily. Glad she's watching.
Oh yeah. She's quite the violinist. That's the word for it. Yes. Anyway.
Oh. Well, she should check out Paul has a podcast coming, or video podcast or something coming out. He does a short little interview with this one violinist. Interesting an interesting little snippet that will be up on Facebook pretty soon. But that's facebook.com/TwoBlathe.
TwoBlathe. I'm a subscriber.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yes.
Thanks. Yeah, you have consistently tuned in. Actually, you and Rachel. It seems like when Paul and I can make sense because you've known us as brothers for a lot longer than most people we know. You guys tune in pretty regularly to those. Although we've had 2 or 3, I don't know.
Yeah.
You're the one who said we should do more, right?
Right. Yeah.
And I would. I'm trying to get him to, I don't know, get internet in his trailer. It's hard.
I mean, you could just be on 4G, right? I mean, that would work fine.
4G? Yeah, maybe. What are you on right now? Because you have like an excellent.
I do.
Great signal coming in. Yeah.
Huh. I mean, it's just the wireless and the Hilton Garden Inn in Worcester.
So that's where you're staying,
right
now, in the Hilton.
Yeah.
Do you have to pay for that?
No,
if you don't mind me asking.
No, I don't.
Oh, nice.
I would get paid $10 more an hour if I didn't choose it, but finding short-term housing is kind of hard. So anyway, yeah, I wouldn't.
Especially in that area, I assume.
Right. Yeah.
Now, the question that came to my mind is, what do you think of birthdays? Being the practical guy that you are, I want your take on birthdays. I am anti-birthday. I'll come out. I don't tell people my birthday. I don't want people to celebrate my birthday. And I'm not particularly fond of anybody that makes a big deal about it, though I'm fond of people and what have you. I'm not going to make a big stink about it, but how do you feel about birthdays? Do you think that we should be celebrating people's birthdays?
I just brought this up the other day on a family Zoom call. The Vietnamese have Tet, right? And that's like their New Year's, but that's also the day they celebrate. That's also a celebration of everyone's birthday, right? So they don't do. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so we've got so many birthdays in the family. I'm like, I think we should just do Tet for us.
I had never heard of this.
Yeah.
So they celebrate both the New Year and everybody's birthday in one. How do you distinguish that celebration? Like, what distinguishes it from just a New Year's celebration?
I know, right? That's a good question. I'm not sure.
I know.
Yeah.
But that's a good idea. And then, of course, going back to the Hobbits, they celebrate other people on their birthday. Right.
Yeah. I kind of like that too. I do.
I would rather that.
Yeah. And I'm not I like the fact that my birthday is my birthday, I kind of just like to do what I want to do. Like, I'll usually take the day off and just be like, this is my holiday, for me. And I'll, like to do that. I mean, I don't really like a big deal on my birthday. I like a small deal. But when I turned 40, my family and friends and stuff, they kind of organized a nice surprise, and that was great, Okay. But other than, it was really fantastic. But other than that, I don't really like a big deal on my birthday. So
going back to that Grant-esque practical aspect of who you are, I think.
Yeah.
Well, Rachel says John is great at celebrating other people's birthdays. He always shows up.
Yes.
But just try asking him what he wants for his birthday dinner. That's kind of what you're saying.
Right.
Also, Tet sounds like a wonderful idea for our show. There you go. You got 2 votes there.
Yes,
How did
excellent.
did it go over well? So you guys are doing Zoom family stuff.
Well, I mean, sometimes. I mean that was the first call in maybe a couple months, but for a while, like every Sunday, they would do the Jackbox, like these internet games. Have you heard of this? They would do. I mean, it's like these games you can play on Zoom with everybody. So they would do those. Anyway,
yeah, it was. That. What is that?
Jackbox. Yeah, it's just where you can get groups to play in games. I think there's one like trivia game. There's kind of a the one they like to play a lot is called Quiplash, and it's I don't know. It's just fun it's almost like maybe Taboo with words instead of not Taboo with words. What am I? Pictionary with words, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah. Anyway.
Interesting.
So yeah, we've done that.
I'm gonna have to look that up.
Yeah.
How does your dad do with technology, Zoom type stuff?
He does okay. I mean, he keeps up pretty well. Because I mean, he is a professor and he's teaching, his classes by Zoom mostly. So, he knows technology a lot better than my mom. A lot better than my mom is pretty terrible as far as like cell phones go. She's never set up her voicemail. But it's fun. Like she's never set up her voicemail, but she always leaves a voicemail for me, I mean,
well, that's interesting because I mean, it's kind of one of those things like you wait long enough and it becomes in vogue because I mean, I know a lot of people that are not setting up their voicemail anymore because they just text. What's the point?
Right. Yeah. Right.
I wish mine wasn't set up.
Right.
People that leave messages now and I think, why?
Right. Yeah. I mean, unless it's like from my nieces or nephews, like, I don't care. Like, no, whatever. Just otherwise, I don't really care at all whether about a voicemail. So,
yeah.
Well,
we have about 10 minutes left. I wanted to just kind of wrap it up. Just bringing it back to Grant and your thoughts on half measures. I want to come back to what have your thoughts been about that? You've been thinking a lot about it. What is it that you're struggling with the most when it comes to, I mean, not to get personal, but to get personal, what is it you're struggling with most when it comes to half measures?
I mean, it might just be like one of the features of my OCD a little bit, just thinking about what if it could have been different? What if it could have been different? All these events in history. If people weren't so concerned with maybe the overall repercussions of something, and that's what it is. It's not like it doesn't really have a context in my life or anything like that.
No,
that I can think of. I could probably, if we went through some psychoanalysis or something, I'm sure it does, but that's all right. We don't need to go there, but yeah,
I think that's interesting. The completion of things, right? Speaking of, so the aspect of OCD, do you mean like you just want to see it? You just want to see it filled out. You want to see it right, like completed to the end. It's logical conclusion. You want to see it completed. You like to see it completed.
Yeah.
And a lot of what we see in history when it comes to these half measures does feels incomplete. Oh man, that reminded me of something. I mean, I think the best example of that would be Bush 1 and the Iraq War, right? Like,
Right. Yeah.
his not going all the way led to, I don't know if it necessarily did, but it didn't. It did, in the sense that that was what happened. Is it led to the second initiative into Iraq by his son?
Right. And honestly,
Maybe
if it
trying
had
to
happened,
finish it.
yeah. And had it happened at that time, I think it probably would have been a whole different story. I don't think the terrorist networks were the same back then, and stuff. So yeah, I don't. It could have been a lot different. It could have been a lot different.
Well, I appreciate you bringing that up, because the reason I like it is because I'm so torn, and maybe that's why you've been thinking about it so much and plagued me with it, because there is a real struggle for me, is the struggle of whether or not, well, there's like almost an aspect of FOMO in it, right? Like, I don't want to miss out on what might be,
Right.
and yet I don't want to leave things unfinished. I don't want to, there's like old stories about, well, I mean, in the Bible, about how, like Jay said, about not wiping everybody out, and that last person came back to, trying to think who in particular. Well, I think there is a story that, with Saul. Saul didn't wipe everybody out, and he didn't wipe everybody out, and his mentor, Samuel, maybe one Samuel, had to come in and hack the king to death in front of everybody, because Saul couldn't, pull the trigger. He couldn't go all the way. I'm trying to remember, in Breaking Bad, did Walter learn from that discussion? I think he did.
Yes, he did. I mean, he did, and part of it was killing Mike. So yes,
yeah,
he did.
What a well-written story.
Oh my God, it's such a good show. I can't be more of a fanboy than for Breaking Bad, for sure.
Really?
Yeah.
I had to take a break. When they rob the train and then they shoot the boy.
Oh yeah.
I quit it for. I knew in the back of my mind I wasn't quitting it, but I quit it for a while. I was just like, too much.
It makes sense. I get it. I've done that before. Stuff, especially the scene where they take his dissolve the kid in the drum. It's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Yeah.
But hey, that's Todd, that little dead-eyed bastard. And screw that guy.
Isn't he just the worst? Like,
oh my God.
Doesn't he plays in other things, and when I see him, my stomach turns.
Oh my! I hate him. I mean, I hated him in Friday Night Lights.
Yeah, Friday.
He's just a fucking little weasel. I mean, it's just terrible.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, it's been great reconnecting with you, man.
Yeah, man.
I hope we can do this again.
Yeah, just let me know if you anytime, really. I'm just existing in this hotel and getting a New England accent too along the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting a New England. I can't do it. All right. Well,
Oh my God, we miss Tom Brady so much. What's with this colored Cam Newton on the field?
Oh,
Will we get this colored guy off the field?
is that a thing?
No, I don't. But Boston's really racist, and
is it? I don't know. Well, I can imagine.
Yes.
Bill Barr. Do you watch any? Do you follow Bill Barr at all?
Bill Burr. Yeah,
Bill Burr.
Yeah, he's the best. He's one of my favorites for sure.
I've really been getting into him and that whole, I don't know what you'd call their tribe, but it's sort of the Joe Rogan tribe,
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I've really been digging their stuff lately.
Oh yeah, me too. I just listened on the way up here to the show he did with Joe Rogan and Bill Burr. But yeah,
who did?
Well, the Joe Rogan show that he had, the most recent one that he had Bill Burr on.
Oh, where he had Bill Burr on. Yeah, that was an interesting one. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, that's something we could talk about. I'm fascinated with that whole dynamic. Well, I guess that'll be for a different day. I have to go tell my son it's time to brush his teeth.
Yeah.
Get him up here.
Oh yeah, I guess it's only 8 where you wait, what time?
No, it's 9.
It's 9? Okay.
My kids go to bed late.
Right. Wait, where are you?
I'm in North Carolina.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Are you living there now or?
Yeah. Okay. We moved out here. So it's a long story, but basically the house that we were living in was going to be sold.
No.
And it didn't look like and it was like it's going to be a quick turnaround. Like it was kind of sudden.
Right.
And then my dad got really sick in March. It was COVID. And it just, things just came together. It was like, it's time to be in North Carolina.
Sure.
It's been, now you know a little bit about going back home, huh? Like going to old stomping grounds.
Right.
Was that, what was your experience? Did you have to go back? Like, did you ever go back and live where you grew up?
Well, yeah. I mean, actually, right now, I'm living 2 miles from the house where I grew up, and then I don't know. It's pretty great in some aspects, but it wasn't. When we were up in upstate New York, it was like I just want to go back to Atlanta as soon as I can. Because you're just uprooted. I was 14 at the time, and just uprooted from a different place, and you just always feel like there's unfinished business or whatever, and you're like, I'm gonna move back. And so, I mean, it's worked out really well. I don't know if I'm always gonna be there, but I do hate the summers. They're just getting very, very old, but it's what it's kind of the life I'm living, I guess. So
I'm getting the sense, like I'm struggling with the feeling that it's not new, which is not really great.
Right.
And it's not old because a lot of things have changed. So it puts me in a real surreal middle. But a lot of things have changed. Of course, I'm not in the same systems I was. Right?
Oh yeah, right.
And so I feel a little bit in limbo being here. Yeah. Do you have that sense being there?
No, I wouldn't say that.
No. You might have. Do you? I wonder. Like I always living in like a hotel type situation. I always feel sort of out of place. Surreal, limbo.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really something. Like, honestly, I just wish I would work every day, because it's just sitting in here is like kind of making me crazy. But
man,
yeah.
Now, what are the restrictions like out there?
They're pretty definitely more than Georgia. Like, there are no, any of the bars can be open, but you can't sit at the bar. You can only sit at tables. And everything closes at 9:00. And what else? I mean, it's, everybody's wearing a mask, which is not the case in Georgia at all. It's weird. Like, if you go outside of Atlanta, 50 miles, people kind of look at you weird if you go into the store with a mask on. So it's still a lot different. And
yeah,
I don't know. Right now, though, it isn't showing a lot of effects, because I think there were 9,000 new cases in Massachusetts yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. So
yeah. I'm gonna talk Jay. He was commenting lately. He's kind of knowledgeable. He's a doctor and kind of knowledgeable on the game. And that's one of the things I want to ask him is, like, if masks and social distancing and shutting down work so well, how come all these places that are doing it aren't slowing it down at all?
Yeah, not really. Like, California is kind of exploding right now, and I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I got the first shot of the vaccine on the 30th. So,
did you go into anaphylactic shock?
Well, I mean, I did. I was kind of miserable for about 2 days.
Really?
Just really weak and achy and stuff. And yeah.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Well, that's better than how I felt when I had COVID.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I was miserable. I had it in March.
You got the vaccine and you already had it?
Yeah. I mean, they offered it, so I just took it.
What's the point of getting the vaccine if you've already had it?
I mean, how long do the antibodies last? Nobody knows really, right?
Well, they have to last longer than 6 months in order for the vaccine to work. I mean, the vaccine only induces the antibodies.
Right. That's true.
So I don't know.
No, you're right.
That's what I'm going to ask Jay Nass when he comes on. But it's a weird time, man, and I'm glad to be connecting with you and Rachel and Jay and let's see who else. Oh, and Jim Pass. A lot of people commenting and tuning in. Let me see if anybody else. Yeah, Thomas.
Okay.
So let's do this again sometime.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Anytime. Just let me know.
Hey, quick question. Do you find yourself going to bed earlier since everything's shut down?
No.
No?
I don't know. I try sometimes, but I can't really go to sleep.
Okay. You're kind of a night owl, huh?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Because when in Illinois, when they shut things down, I just went to bed.
Right.
Nothing to do. It's just like,
yeah.
I found myself going to bed a lot earlier and waking up earlier.
I wish I could say that I did that, but I try to get up at 6:15 because I got to be at work at 7 this morning. Yeah. The alarm went off, and apparently I just slept all the way through it. And I looked up finally, and it's 6:56. I'm like, I messed that one up today.
Oh man, so it goes.
Real quick, I like to poll people on this question. Like,
okay,
did you turn 40 last year or
no? This year.
This year.
COVID 40.
Nice. Did you notice an almost spontaneous ear hair growth once you turn 40?
Ear hair growth? Oh,
Yeah.
I thought you were going to talk about. I noticed the thinning growth here,
Right.
but ear hair growth, spontaneous. No, but I've always been sort of phobic about ear, nose hair, and I think I was 36 actually when I started noticing longer hairs growing on my
Okay.
earlobe.
Yeah. Well, it hit you first, I guess. But
Well,
honestly, someone brought it up, and
yeah.
they're like, "How did this happen?" It was almost spontaneous, and it was my friend that turned 40, I think 12 days before me, and
Oh.
then I was like, I was like, "Holy shit! I have so much ear hair." So yeah, I mean, I've been trimming it since then, but yeah, like I could not believe the amount of ear hair that I
Yeah. That's interesting. All
had.
right. Well, we could talk more about that sometime because I
Yeah.
have a lot of thoughts on facial hair and what have you.
Yeah. Yes. Speaking of which, this is not my favorite look. I'm not enjoyed the clean shaven look that much, but
Do you?
I
I was
gotta have
wondering
it.
about it. Do you have to for work?
Well, I don't. It just the N95 doesn't fit on well enough without it. So, anyway,
Interesting.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All
But
right.
you
Well,
got a good looking beard. But anyway,
well, you know what that is mostly? I come from a weird family where, and you might, I don't know if the same for you, but my mom and dad, you know how like some families, if you have a beard and your mom and dad are like, shave that scruff, you look so nice. Well, my parents are the opposite. If I don't have a
right,
beard, they're kind of like,
yeah.
you need you need to have a beard.
You need to hide that face.
And it's just, winter laziness.
Right, right.
All right. Well,
Right.
we'll sign off to the masses. We got one viewer. and and your sister and others say thank you for brightening our evening. Well,
Yeah.
thank you for
Well,
tuning in.
yeah.
And thank you. Thanks for coming on, man.
No, yeah. I'm glad I had the drunk idea to do so. But anyway.
Hey, man, sometimes that's a good origin of ideas. Well, good night, everybody.
All right.
And we'll talk to you. See you later.